I couldn't be happier to be here tonight with all of you. As Caleb said, my name is Genevieve Conaty, and I'm here to talk to you about one of my favorite concepts, which is the concept of entrepreneurship. And in particular, the concept that entrepreneurship is for everyone. It's something that is accessible to everyone. And I hope to convince you of this over the next few minutes. So let me start just by unpacking that word, entrepreneurship. If you open up your big old Oxford English dictionary, which I like to carry around in my backpack, it says, entrepreneur, a person who sets up a business, taking on some financial risk in pursuit of profit or reward. And that's an awesome thing, right? That's already really interesting. There's like a whole huge story in there about the person and the risk and the reward. So I already love that idea of entrepreneurship. But what I like even more is think about the courage that it requires to do any of those things. To set up a business or take on financial risk, like, that's hard. That sounds difficult. So what I love about entrepreneurship, the word entrepreneurship is, I feel like it captures that courage, that empowerment that would be required to do anything entrepreneurial. Anything entrepreneurial by definition is hard. You're starting something new, that's always hard. So I really love this word and how it captures this sense of empowerment. However, I do not know about you, but I have sort of like a tortured relationship with this word. When I was growing up, for whatever reason, I did not think I could be an entrepreneur. I don't feel like anybody came to me and said, Genevieve, why don't you start a business? I don't know, maybe I just looked like somebody who's unlikely to be successful starting a business. Could have been. It wasn't that I had low self-esteem, I always thought I was awesome, so it wasn't that. So somewhere in here though, this word is a little bit tough, and I don't know if any of you here with me tonight feel this way, but speaking very personally for myself, there was something when I was growing up that was like a barrier between me and this word entrepreneur. I did not see myself as an entrepreneur. I did not feel like this was something that was very available to me to become an entrepreneur. And so lately, because I love this concept and I think about this all the time, I was trying to figure out why could that have been? What was the problem? What's the big deal? Anybody could be an entrepreneur. You've been talking about it already for 5 minutes. What's the problem? And I really think that part of what was going on, at least for me personally, this might not be true for everybody, was that when you picture an entrepreneur, when you just close your eyes and who's the first person who comes to mind, for whatever reason, I don't think that person looks like me. I think our archetypal entrepreneur, like our Henry Ford or any person like this, they just might not be me. And I'm hoping things have changed since I was a kid, but I did a little bit of detective work to see maybe is there any evidence out there that this could still be the case? That when you say entrepreneur, you don't automatically picture somebody who looks wild and crazy like I do. So what did I do? How could I test that? So I went on Google search, which is your best research tool, and I put great entrepreneurs. What's going to come up? I did this on Sunday, so this is like pretty fresh. This is what came up. And there are some great people in this set of search results. I'm not saying anything bad about any of them. Some of these people are my personal heroes. This is like Steve Jobs. But I would kind of think if you scan the screen, you might see why I didn't see myself up there. This is not like a super diverse looking group of human beings, wonderful as they are. There's nothing wrong with anything that they are, but I don't see it, the like wild and crazy self that I consider myself to be represented too well in this first page of Google search results. You probably have to scroll down quite a bit before you got to me. So, what does this all mean, And I have to tell you, the reason that I think my attitude towards entrepreneurship has changed from feeling like it's something really remote and inaccessible to feeling that it's something so accessible that I would come here tonight and tell you all it's accessible to you. What changed? Okay, so Caleb gave this away already. I work at this company called Indiegogo. And Indiegogo was founded in 2008. And the express purpose of the company when they were founded was, how can we create a launch pad for entrepreneurial ideas? Their mission is, how can we empower people to unite around ideas that matter to them, and together make those ideas come to life? So this is like an entrepreneurial engine, and I've had the great privilege to work there since 2012. So for 6 years now, I've had more or less a front row seat to all these different types of entrepreneurial ideas that flow through our platform. And that's what I want to talk to you about tonight. I want to give you some real evidence of how having a service like that, that opens up entrepreneurship to everyone, can change some of these dynamics that made someone like me feel like maybe I couldn't be an entrepreneur. I don't feel that way anymore, and I want to show you why. So these are just a handful of projects that have run on Indiegogo over the years. We have people making films, we have people inventing new products, we have people raising money for nonprofit causes. And this is the panoply of ideas I think you see when entrepreneurship is available to everybody. And it just looks, to me, it looks a lot different from the Google search results that I showed you. So let me explain briefly how the concept of crowdfunding works. So Indiegogo is a crowdfunding website. All you have to do to use it is put your idea out there. You just have to say, I have a great entrepreneurial idea. Maybe you don't even think it's great. Maybe you're like, maybe it's not good. Put it out there. And what happens on Indiegogo is you see whether people want to back that idea, whether other people believe in that idea. And that's why we call this the concept of crowdfunding, because there's a crowd of people out there, and there actually are crowds of people who visit Indiegogo all the time, and they look at the ideas there. And if they catch their fancy, they will back that idea. And the funding and crowdfunding comes from the fact that usually that's a financial donation that they give. So what does this look like? In real life, it looks something like this. This is a page from our website from, again, over the weekend, right after I did my Google search for great entrepreneurs. I went on our website, and I found this example. This is a project to make a beehive that anybody can have in their own backyard at home. It's called the Flow Hive. They ran their first campaign in 2015. It's a father and son team out of Australia. Those are the entrepreneurs behind this idea. And when they first started, they had no idea how good the world would think their idea was. They set out to raise just $70,000, and I can't believe I'm telling you this, but they raised $13 million. And what happened was these two entrepreneurs who, honestly, they were like working in Australia and sketching out a revolutionary beehive. Like, honestly, they had no way of knowing whether anyone would care about their idea. Instead, what happened was they found 37,000 backers, about 35 from their first campaign and 2,000 from the new one that's running now on this over the weekend that I just showed you. So this is an example of the power of combining a platform where anybody can put an idea with a whole bunch of people who care about new ideas and want to express interest in them, give money to them, and make them come to life. I really, really love that story. I try very hard not to buy a Flow Hive myself because it costs $700. But you know, I find this so inspiring that I almost have to buy one just because. So what I wanted to present you with now is some evidence that because we have this other way of approaching entrepreneurship now, we actually could change some of those dynamics that might make someone like me feel like entrepreneurship wasn't available to me. And these pieces of evidence come from our platform, which has opened up entrepreneurship just a little bit more. So here's one troubling fact in the world today, right? This is not surprising to any of us to be reading about something like a gender pay gap or gender-related bias. This is a troubling fact. Nobody wants us to have this problem, and honestly, nobody knows quite how to solve this problem. A very real piece of evidence supporting the idea that this is a problem is that out of all the venture capital funding that was given out in 2017, only 4% of those VC deals went to companies run by women. And I have to tell you, I'm not even somebody who really believes that gender is a binary, just men on this side and women on this side, so there should be 50-50. I don't even think that. But I do think that this 4% is disheartening. Somewhere in here, there's like something kind of awry. And on the other hand, on Indiegogo, we see that 41% of campaigns that reached their goal were run by women. And for me, this math just feels a little bit better. 40% to 60% feels a lot better than 4% to 96%, even if you think that there's not just two sides and you don't really want to divide people up into two buckets anyway. So I really feel like part of my feeling that things have changed a little bit and that entrepreneurship is becoming more available to people is coming from seeing these kinds of entrepreneurs finding a lot of success through working with Indiegogo. So here's one of my favorite stories from the platform over the past few years. This entrepreneur's name is Chantal Carter-Taylor. And before she founded a business that I'll tell you about in a second, she was a fashion stylist. And something I didn't know until I was working at Indiegogo and I learned about this Chantal Carter-Taylor person was, when you are a fashion stylist, the thing that you're trying to style is the garment over the person's body. If the person's underwear is not the same color as their skin, this is a problem for a fashion stylist. This can create weirdness in the photographs you're trying to take. So Chantal Carter-Taylor was working with lots of models who didn't happen to have skin tones that were matched by the underwear that she could buy in the store. So she was doing, wild things like, this is something I would do, by the way. She was going to her kitchen table at home, buying the underwear in whatever color she could find it, and using fabric paint to paint it to try to be the right color to match her model's skin tone. And she found this frustrating. So her big entrepreneurial idea was, maybe there are other people who are also suffering from this problem, who would also like to see lingerie in diverse skin tones, in different colors. So she put her idea onto Indiegogo, and I'm so happy to tell you she found 99 backers who also thought that that was a problem worth solving. And if you are so inclined, you can go on the web this evening and order some. This is a product that actually came to life because she crystallized her entrepreneurial idea, put it out there, found her 99 backers, got just enough seed money to kind of kick off her website. And this is an example of an idea that really came to life because of this empowerment that she found. Now let me tell you about Anna Lily Amirpour. This person is so inspirational to me. She was from an Iranian background, her Iranian family heritage. She was born in the UK, she moved to America, and she started watching movies. She loved movies, and she had an idea for her own movie. And her idea was, I want to make an Iranian vampire Western. I would have told her, make it right away. But she thought, will there be an audience for this movie? So she put a campaign page for that movie idea onto Indiegogo. And she found at least 290 people, and later I have to tell you there were even more fans of this movie. And she raised about $60,000, which was enough to get her going. And in 2014, that movie, A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, debuted at the Sundance Film Festival. So it was a really real story of a person who had just like a light bulb moment, like I want to make this movie. And through finding just enough support to kind of get her off the ground, she actually did get that idea to come to life. So her entrepreneurship was actually recognized and lifted up by her crowd that when she had that idea, she didn't even realize that she had. Finally, I want to tell you about Noel Santos. I think this is my favorite person who has used the platform over the past several years, if I have to pick just one person. Noel Santos lives in New York City. She lives in the Bronx. The Bronx is a densely populated place, 1.5 million people living in the Bronx. However, nowhere in the Bronx is there a bookstore. Not one single bookstore in the whole Bronx. And this, just without even talking about Noel Santos, this is disturbing to me because my father is from the Bronx. My mother is a librarian. So the idea that there is no bookstore in the Bronx is like intolerable. And Noel Santos felt that way. She felt that way too. She was looking around her community. I think her Twitter handle is like bookish and bossy. She's like, somebody's got to fix this. And that somebody is me. I'm going to fix it. And so she found great success with her Indiegogo campaign. She found 1,838 backers. She raised about $155,000. And I'm so, so happy to show you this next picture. This is her in her pop-up store. And on the right up here, you see her actually signing a lease on her retail space. So that store is not open yet. It's slated to open in spring 2018. So I'm about to book my ticket to the Bronx to go visit it. Plus you should read that it says the lit bar, so it's a bookstore with wine. So I'm totally on that plane. And this, I when I say she's my favorite person who's used the platform in the past several years, I just absolutely love how she was inspired by her community. She looked at the world around her, she was like, how come there's no bookstore? And then she took that entrepreneurial step to say, I'll step up. I will bring a bookstore to the Bronx. Let's bring a bookstore to the Bronx. So I'll report back. I'll go there and I'll tell you how it is. Okay. So by showing those examples, I'm just trying to show a contrast between a world where, only a handful of companies run by females are getting any VC funding, to a world where whoever you are, whatever wild idea you have, maybe you can find just enough backing for it to help it take flight and really become reality. So I want to show you one other example of that changing dynamic that I've noticed working at Indiegogo. So a lot of you all are students, which means that you're young enough to have not suffered from discrimination for being too old. But maybe you were discriminated against for being too young. Maybe you said, ooh, I want to do this cool thing. And somebody said, sorry, you are too young, not experienced enough, come back later. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, maybe you're starting to think, how old do you have to be age discriminated against? That age seems to be going down. So this is an article from the New York Times that says, shown the door, older workers find bias hard to prove. It's very hard to prove that there's age-related bias in the workplace. But trust me, I have a strong feeling that there are cases of this. And this is something that shouldn't be true. There shouldn't be a magic age range from 22 or 24 to 52 or 54, and only in that bracket can you be a good worker, a successful entrepreneur. Why would that be true? That seems wild to me. So I'm really, really pleased to be able to offer a different piece of evidence, which is that on Indiegogo, we've had entrepreneurs from age 8 all the way to age 78. So let's start with the 8 because he's super cute. He's not 8 anymore, but he was 8 when he launched his campaign. This entrepreneur's name was Max Ash. And Max's entrepreneurial idea was, I love to drink cocoa. It comes in a mug, that's fun. It would be even more fun if there were a basketball hoop on top of the mug, and I could throw my marshmallows through the hoop. And he's smart because he diversified into multiple sports. So he started with basketball, but you can get them. Different hoops for different mugs. And he launched his Indiegogo campaign. He was only 8. He actually was so successful with this that this is a product that went into retail, and you can buy this online now. If it's cold tonight, you go home, you want a cup of cocoa, you can go on Max's Creations and buy one of these mugs to make your hot chocolate even more fun. Another example of a younger entrepreneur that I find super inspiring is Alyssa Chavez. Alyssa was 17 when she launched her campaign. Her story was that she was the child of a single mom. The mom was running a home-based daycare, which meant that Alyssa in her high school years was seeing a lot of babies coming in and out of the car. And if you have any experience in this, I certainly hope you don't, but there's a real nightmare scenario if you're a parent that you forget your kid in the car seat. Close the car door, walk away, really bad things happen after that. So Alyssa was inspired to create an alarm system that would be inside the car seat. If the parent left the car and the kid's still in the car, the alarm would go off. Her idea was called the hot seat. And I'm very, very proud of her because she put that out there when she was, not even 18. She was only 17. And she did find support for this idea. This is another product that came to life because she was able to put that entrepreneurial idea out there. And then finally, on the other end of the spectrum, we have Dr. Bob Wagstaff. I love Dr. Bob. So Dr. Bob's personal life story is, he was a missionary. He was working in the Philippines. This is many, many years ago now. But the incredible piece of the story is that while he was a missionary in the Philippines, someone had the courage to come to him and say, Dr. Bob, I'm so sorry to have to tell you this, but some of your missionaries, they have bad breath. So poor Dr. Bob was overcome by shame. But then he was entrepreneurial. So he thought, what can I do? And he invented a special brush for your tongue. It's called the Aura Brush. And this was his first idea. He didn't even need Indiegogo for this. He did this a long time ago. But the Aura Brush was so great and cured bad breath for people, somebody else came to Dr. Bob and said, could I get one for my dog? So he invented a second version, the Aura Pup. And the Aura Pup, believe it or not, the Aura Pup is a tongue brush for your dog. And Dr. Bob Wagstaff put that idea on Indiegogo. He, at that time, was 78 years old, and it was successful. And that brand, Aura Pup, was so powerful it actually got bought out by another brand that's like a dog food and dog products brand overall. So I super love this set of examples just to show that, of course, there's no age range within which you can be an effective, creative entrepreneur. That's truly not true. Instead, anywhere from 8 to 78, and I would like to think 88 or 108 since I'm hoping to live to be 108, you know, anybody can really make this happen. Okay, so now we're going to talk about you. So I'm really hoping that I've armed you with some knowledge right now, which is that it's truly the case that any one of us can be an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurship is not a closed, inaccessible, remote concept. It is truly available to everybody. So when we look at that word entrepreneur now, if you did have that kind of hang up that I had about it, I hope you can start to dissolve that a little bit and feel like maybe I could do something. And I want you to start to picture what that could look like for yourself. So one of the things I love about the stories I was just telling you is that they give me ideas for how to have ideas. So for example, to get your idea up here, you could follow the example of Dr. Bob and let somebody bring you an idea and think, that is a problem I'd love to solve, why don't I do that? Or you could do something more like Chantal Carter-Taylor, where she encountered a terrible, frustrating experience of body painting underwear and thought, I can solve this problem. You could do something for fun, like Max Ash. Hot chocolate, already fun, why not make it more fun? What would you do if you did something like that? You could make your own movie. You can't make an Iranian vampire Western, that's been done, but you could make your own movie. What movie would you make if you were making your own movie? And the person, like I told you, one of my favorite, most inspiring examples, Noel Santos, who brought the bookstore to the Bronx, she looked around her community. So what do you see when you look around your community? What gap is there that you could fill with your entrepreneurial idea? What service could you start in your neighborhood to make life better for all of your neighbors? So where I want to end for tonight is, I would love to see your idea here. I would love to be giving a talk like this in 5 years and get to talk about you. So if you have any notion of an entrepreneurial idea, you don't have to have it now, I'm not going to ask you, but maybe tomorrow in the shower or when you're going for a jog over the weekend, really try to empower yourself to think, what would it be like if I had an entrepreneurial idea? What would I do? What problem would I solve? What business would I start? What movie would I make? I really invite you to think about it because it's been extremely empowering for me personally just to see all of these entrepreneurs really empowering themselves to unite with backers and make things happen. So next talk, like I said, I'll save you the slide. You make it happen, I'll put it up here. And I just want to close with that really deep conviction that I have. Entrepreneurship is for everyone. And everyone includes all of you. Thank you so much for your time and attention. It's a privilege to be here.